Ever feel like the more you learn about something, the less you actually know? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Like you're always chasing this moving target.
Exactly. And today, we're really diving deep into that feeling with this parable. It's called The Truth by Pedro
Oh,
Elias.
Elias, yeah. I've read some of his other stuff. He's got a way with parables, really get you thinking.
He does right. So this parable, we found it on his website, and it's about, well, it's about a pilgrim searching for truth. Like literally with a capital T.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So this pilgrim, they're on like a quest or
Yeah.
something.
They're climbing a mountain, desperate for, for answers, for some kind of sign. And suddenly, boom, they encounter a child.
A child. Okay, that's an interesting start. What's so special about the kid?
Well, this child claims to be the truth this pilgrim has been searching for.
Whoa, hold on. The truth, like embodied in a child. That's a pretty heavy concept.
Right. And of course, the pilgrim is like floored. I mean, they've been through so much. And here's this child saying, hey, it's me. You found me.
Yeah, I can see how that would be overwhelming. So what happens next? Does the pilgrim like whisk the kid away and try to keep them forever?
Well, they want to.
Yeah.
They beg the child to stay with them always. I mean, who wouldn't? Imagine finding truth, pure and simple, like that.
Right, like a shortcut to enlightenment or something.
But the child says, look, I can't stay. I'm still young. I need to grow up.
Ooh, interesting. So right away, Elias is hinting that truth isn't static. It's not this fixed thing you just find and hold on to.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's constantly changing, growing, just like a child. But the pilgrim, they're heartbroken. They can't bear the thought of losing this childlike truth, so they ask if they can at least take a photograph.
Ah, the photograph. I feel like that's going to be important. It's like trying to capture something fleeting, trying to hold on to a moment in time.
Right. And maybe holding on to something that made them feel safe, even though they knew deep down the change was inevitable.
Exactly. And we do that all the time, don't we? We find an idea, a belief system that we feel comfortable with, and we cling to it, even when life is showing us that maybe there's more to the story. It's so true. And in the parable, that's exactly what the pilgrim does. They travel around showing everyone this photo, this snapshot of truth, convinced that they've got it all figured out. Years pass. The pilgrim builds a whole life around this image. And then one day they meet a woman.
Okay, a woman. What's the deal with her? She sounds important.
She is. Elias describes her in this really striking way. She's not a child anymore. She's mature. Her gaze is described as enlightened. She just carries herself with this air of knowing.
Oh, I can already see where this is going. This isn't just some random woman. She represents something more, something,
Just
something.
bigger.
Yes. And of course, she approaches the pilgrim and asks this very simple yet very loaded question. Do you know who I am?
And boom. Just like that, Elias throws us right into the heart of the matter. And the pilgrim, so sure of themselves, so certain that they have truth in their pocket, literally with that photograph.
What do they say? Do they recognize her?
They say, no, I don't know who you are. Can you believe it?
Oh man, the irony. It's almost painful to witness this train wreck in slow motion. They're
Mhm.
so close yet so far away from getting it.
And of course, the woman with such grace simply says, I am the truth.
Ugh, I bet that hit the pilgrim like a ton of bricks. Talk about a reality check. So
Okay.
what happens next? Does the pilgrim admit they were wrong? Do they fall to their knees and beg for forgiveness?
Not quite. Remember that photograph? The pilgrim whips it out, that faded picture of the child, and basically says, nope, see, this is truth. You're a fake.
Oh, wow. They're doubling down on their delusion. They'd rather cling to this outdated image than accept a more mature understanding of truth.
It's a classic case of, I've made up my mind. Don't confuse me with the facts.
It's so human though, isn't it?
Yeah.
We find something that gives us a sense of certainty, a way to make sense of the world, and we're terrified to let go of it, even when it's no longer serving us,
Yeah.
even when it might be holding us back.
Absolutely. And the parable, it doesn't shy away from the danger of clinging too tightly to those fixed perspectives. What was once a source of comfort, a beacon of light, it can actually become a barrier, a barrier to growth and deeper understanding.
It's like we're so afraid that if we let go of even a little bit of what we believe, our whole world will fall apart.
Right, like our sense of self depends on clinging to these static ideas.
But what the parable is showing us is that by holding on so tightly, we might actually be missing out on a much richer, a more expansive experience of Well, of everything.
Totally. It's like, why choose to look at the world through a tiny peephole when you can, you can throw open the doors and windows and let the whole panorama flood in.
I love that image. And I think that's where the real power of Elias's message comes through. The woman, this mature truth, she's saddened by the pilgrim's, like, blindness, but she doesn't force herself on them. Before she leaves, she says, I hope one day you can understand that every child becomes an adult one day, and so it is with the truth.
Ah.
That line just gives me chills every time. It's such a beautiful way of saying that truth isn't this rigid, unchanging thing. It's an ongoing process, just like life itself. We grow, we evolve, our understanding evolves, and hopefully we learn to embrace that evolution rather than fear it. Have you ever had one of those moments where, like, your whole understanding of something just completely shifted?
Oh yeah, absolutely, all the time. I think it's part of being, a curious and engaged human being. I remember, let me see.
It's like that first truth, that initial understanding we cling to. It's almost like a stepping stone. It got us to where we are, but we can't be afraid to step off of it and keep moving.
Yeah, I like that. It's like a raft. You hold on tight when you need it, but eventually you got to be willing to swim to shore on your own.
Exactly. And that's what makes this parable so relevant.
Yeah.
Especially now. We're, like, drowning in information these days, right? News, social media, opinions coming at us from every direction. It's a lot.
It really is. So how do we even begin to make sense of it all? How do we apply this parable, this idea of truth always evolving to like real life in a world that feels like it's constantly shifting?
Right. It's like trying to put together a puzzle, but the pieces keep changing shape right in front of your eyes.
Well, I think maybe the key takeaway here is that it's not really about finding the one right answer. It's not about clinging to one perfect, unchanging version of truth. It's more about like cultivating a mindset of curiosity.
So instead of, like, freaking out because things are always changing,
Yeah.
we should be more, I don't know, more open to it.
Exactly. Be open to new information, new perspectives, even if they challenge what you thought you knew. Like imagine if that pilgrim, instead of rejecting the woman, had, approached her with curiosity.
Oh, that would have been a totally different story, wouldn't it?
Right. Instead of clinging to that outdated photo, they could have actually had a conversation, maybe even expanded their understanding of truth in the process.
Makes you think, about what photographs we might be holding on to in our own lives.
That's a great question to sit with for a while. What are we so afraid of letting go of? What could we learn? How could we grow if we were willing to like put down the old photos and really see the world and ourselves with fresh eyes?
That's a powerful thought to end on. And as always, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep those minds open, keep asking those tough questions, and remember, just like that pilgrim, we're all on a journey.